Okay, 3, 2, 1. Hey guys, welcome back to another podcast. The first one of 2021. We're using a new mic. Hopefully it sounds okay. I might have to do some alterations in the future, but we'll see what's going on with this. Kind of excited for it. It's supposed to be like made for podcasts, but it is also kind of on the cheap side. So we'll see what happens. I'm here with Jake again.
What's up?
Join me again for the first podcast. We just got back from work. We're custodians on our school's campus.
Yeah.
We went for a drive, had a good talk. But, let's sit down and do a podcast because we need to get that going a little bit more again. It is definitely harder to record podcasts, though, than, our game things because, I guess not necessarily for, me and you to record podcasts, but I've been trying to get together with some other people to film podcasts. We're just busy.
Yeah, college students are always busy.
Always busy. And poor. And hungry. But, speaking of school, though, I told you on our drive that I was going to explain a Zoom story.
Okay.
So, our campus is half Zoom, half in person, depending on the professor and class and whatnot, So, I'm in this very beginner math class. I suck at math. And, I'd like to say that I have been flying through the homework. Today's homework actually stumped me a little bit. Going back and have to
You couldn't figure out 6 divided by 3?
Nah. Well, it wasn't. It was a bit harder. There was long division stuff.
Okay.
And without a calculator, it's been a long time since I've done long division without a calculator. So it did take me a little bit to get through today.
Mm-hmm.
Not the story I was going for though. We're doing Zoom, right? And this class is full of people who like to speak up often.
Yeah.
And there's questions being asked, which is fine. I'm 100% ask questions because usually someone's asking a question, someone else has the same question.
So the questions don't make sense? Is that what it is?
No, it's just comments. So this one guy, first day he's in class, he's on Zoom. I find out where this man worked, how long he's worked there, that he's coming back to school, his dad's name, his car, and this is no joke. I found out all this information about him the first day he was on Zoom. I'm supposed to be learning about math, not this guy's...
How long was that guy talking?
Well, he would just interrupt, right? But when on Zoom, it's Google Meet, but same thing, right? It's so much easier for people to dominate a conversation because if you speak, you become big on your screen, you get big on everyone else's screen, and there's not my professor would try to speak up above him to get him to stop talking, but he was so much louder because he was online that he overpowered the teacher. So the teacher couldn't get him to stop. The teacher would have to be okay, I'm muting you for a second, and mute him. The guy could instantly unmute himself and go, one more thing. And I was like, dude.
That's frustrating.
I'm just trying to learn how to do 6 minus 3 or, it was something. And that class, hopefully it gets better, but there's a handful of people in that class that will speak up like that. And it's just, comments here and there to be funny, I understand. Class clowns sometimes needed in certain classes,
It's true. Especially with Zoom, can get really dull.
Oh, so dull. But there's a point where you need to stop.
Yeah. I've realized, because I like to make funny comments once in a while. I've realized there's a time for it, but if you start to overmake funny comments, people aren't going to take you seriously, and you're just going to start detracting from the lesson.
Yes.
It's just, you need to make one clever comment every now and then that will make people, it'll lighten up the mood.
Yes. It's definitely needed.
Yeah.
If you have those classes, I had a class last semester that there was zero participation at all.
That sucks.
Not even to be funny in any way. And the only guy who was being funny, it was a film class, right? Mm-hmm. So we were watching the films. So sometimes you're watching a movie, we watch movies in that class. That was fine. But when you're having, we'd get into groups, Zoom groups, and no one would talk. Or if he
so you'd be in groups of 4 and nobody's saying anything. You're just looking at each other.
Well, no, because everyone had their cameras off at that time. So I'd be talking. I'd be so what'd you guys think? Nothing. And I look in the chat, no one's typing. It's cool. So I'm sitting in this Zoom call with 4 other people who are also just sitting bored or probably walked away. And I'm like, this sucks. Then we get back, because what'd your group talk about? And then I had to make up some BS thing about my group talking about something.
You could just tell him, like, hey, nobody else in my group said anything.
That I did that once or twice. He was very, very upset. He started very much disliking Zoom, and like it was affecting like how he ran the class, and his like grades were like he just hated Zoom. It was affecting it. So I was like, I just made up stuff at that point. But the only guy in that class that ever talked was the guy who would constantly ask every day if we could watch Step Brothers in class. I'm like, dude, there's no way he's gonna let us watch Step Brothers. The movie.
Out of every movie to ask for, why would you ask for that?
I know the movie's hilarious. Don't get me wrong; it's very, very crude, but it is funny. But they're not gonna show that.
Yeah.
In like, it's not even like this is a film class where we're supposed to be talking about like different kinds of film and good films in those different genres
and like filming techniques. Right?
Step Brothers is just a stupid, funny movie.
Yeah.
Right? It's just, I don't know, man. Like, I'm ready. I'm so ready for the whole Zoom stuff to be done. I
Me
hate
too.
it.
I think this semester they're requiring cameras to be on.
Yeah.
And that helps a lot with people to participate.
That is true, but I hate it, to be honest.
You hate the cameras on?
Yeah. I'd rather just be in class.
Well, do you prefer cameras on to cameras off?
Well, I'm gonna be honest, I prefer cameras off because I will multitask, and by multitask, I mean I'll play Slay the Spire while I'm sitting there listening to class. And I can't do that now in my math class or whatever, which is the only one I really have on Zoom.
You can still do that, right?
I mean, I was, but like, it's a lot harder to. It's a lot. You can tell when you're not paying attention.
I don't know about that. I feel like a lot of people kind of multitask, and you can't really tell. If you've got your whatever you're doing on the side, just on your main screen, so you're kind of still looking at the camera, I think people can't really tell.
See, usually, I don't have a camera on my PC, so I have to use my laptop that we're using to record right now. So I put it in front of me, but then I can't see my TV screen in front of me because the thing. So I'm like this, and people are just looking at my chest. But yeah, I don't know. I did it all the time. You know, last year I played TFT when I was in class. It didn't like necessarily super affect my grade because like it's just sometimes like I was watching movies in my film class. Yeah, if I'm watching a movie on the side, I'm gonna watch WALL-E while I play TFT. You know, in classes where I need to pay attention, I'll pay attention.
Speaking of WALL-E, I was looking at a tier list of the best Disney movies that someone had put together, animated Disney movies, and I think they put WALL-E as like top 3.
WALL-E is arguably one of the best animated movies I think of all time. Is what people have like argued. We talked about that in my film class last semester a little bit. That movie's great.
Why does it considered to be so good?
I think it's because they gave robots such good like there's a movie Robots before that like was animated that gave robots like personality or whatever. But like the fact that they really couldn't even talk either.
They don't really talk in that at all.
No.
Like they say like 1 or 2 words, right?
Yeah.
The robots do.
Yeah. So but like they were still able to
create personalities
just with kind of actions. Actions. And the thing is they didn't have like full bodies to work with. Like Eve has a floating hands and stuff, you know, like but that's not the only like the animation's also just beautifully done.
It is.
Like,
it is really good.
I love the movie. It's just a good movie. I'm down to watch WALL-E.
Yeah, it's solid.
Mm-hmm.
So didn't you want to talk about what ifs?
Possibly, yeah. I have some what ifs I wrote down at work. I think it'd be funny to get into.
I know we talked about one while we were walking back. We were just kind of looking at the stars as we were walking back, and I just thought, what if gravity reversed?
You know, that was one of the questions. Like, what if? Because it's kind of like what ifs, like also like what would you do? If honestly, if that happened, like we talked about it, like that would be the worst because you
can't do anything. You can't do anything about it. You just start floating up until you eventually freeze to death or run out of air. I wonder which would come first.
I think you freeze.
I feel like you'd freeze.
Yeah.
I don't know.
One of the what ifs I thought about. That's what I was pulling up. one of the what ifs I thought of, I was like, what if the world's gravity did that, but it just reversed randomly at points throughout the day? You know,
like to the point where you would float off into a dangerous area,
or like
where you'd stop breathing, or like just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Like, could you imagine like that just became like a norm? You just walk in the street and then automatically gravity reverses. So there's like
that would be so dangerous. What if you're driving a car?
I know. It would be. The world would have to adjust.
No, yeah, there wouldn't be cars anymore.
Or like cars would have like. They'd have to get like some kind of special hook or something that goes to the ground.
Yeah, they must have like, if that happened, they'd have magnets or something to the road.
Like
the trains. Is that what you're thinking about? Those magnetic trains?
No, but that's cool. That's like an honest thing they could probably do. I was thinking about Five Kingdoms where the cars were like they were magnetic. That's why they could go so fast.
And then they never hit each other because they were magnetic. So they would, if they got too close to each other, they just kind of repulse.
Yeah. That was like that book. I know we're getting off topic, but conversation flowing is good, I guess.
Yeah, it doesn't matter really.
Those books are great. If people want to read, people should read Five Kingdoms.
Yeah, it's a solid book.
I didn't really like that book. I won't go into depth because people haven't read it, but like that, like the technology stuff.
The third book.
Yeah, it wasn't as cool as like the fantasy magic.
Yeah, I think Brandon Moll, the guy who writes them, I think he does a really good job at, like, he's got a great imagination, and he's good at creating things with his imagination that nobody else really thinks of. And I think that technology thing was part of it.
Yeah.
So and he comes up with a lot of different stuff, and so it doesn't really fit the genre of, fantasy.
No, but like he gets a way to explain it.
Yeah.
Being there,
and it was still interesting. It might not be the best, but it was still interesting, I thought. It was cool how they had like a space arcade with the like, unique games that he came up with.
Didn't he? Was there one where they played like there was like a futuristic batting cage, or is that a different thing?
Batting cage.
Was it a batting cage or like a game of tag?
There was a thing where you went in this little chamber, and then there were like rods, I think, that kept coming. Like, they'd go up and down, they'd go side to side.
You had to dodge them.
Yeah, and you had to dodge them. And they could touch you, but if they knocked you to the ground, then you were out. And then there was also prizes kind of moving around, kind of like they're all on, what are those things in, like, not the claw machines.
Claw machine?
Yeah, so they were like claw things moving around, so you had to grab those while also dodging the things. And then you could grab as much as you want.
But if you fall, would you lose everything? I think that's what it was.
No, I think you just kept going until you fall. I think you get kept what you grabbed.
See, like that, he just thought of an futuristic arcade game that was just like a part of the book. It wasn't even important in all.
I know.
Reality.
Yeah, it was just a cool thing to read.
Yeah. Another Brandon Moll. While we're on that topic, I guess my favorite author. I honestly haven't read as much anymore. That book you want me to read, it's still sitting on my bed. I haven't read it since.
So what have you read? You read Five Kingdoms. You read Beyonders, right?
I haven't finished Five Kingdoms.
Oh,
I'm on the last book, but I don't own it.
I've got it on my Kindle.
No,
I can loan it to you.
I might need to read that. I read all the way through Beyonders. That book series is insane.
That one is his most like epic kind of journey thing, kind of similar to Lord of the Rings. He doesn't really have any other books like that, but they're solid. I really like those.
When Fablehaven kind of...
It's not really like a quest, like a hero's journey kind of thing.
No.
It's more like his other books, kind of just his imagination creating these new worlds. And I mean, Beyonders is his imagination creating this new world, but it's also like a kind of a company, kind of like Lord of the Rings, and they've got this specific goal in mind.
Yeah.
So.
Such a good book. I think honestly, I love the book. Don't get me wrong. Fantastic. But the only thing that kept me going in the first couple chapters was the fact that it reminded me of Skyrim so much. Like at the...
Oh.
Well, maybe not at first, but when he first gets into the thing, it kind of reminded me of it.
Like the very, very first book?
Yeah, and like the capital of that place is called Solitude.
Is it?
Mm-hmm. Or at least one of the towns is Solitude.
Wow, I don't even remember that. It's been a while.
I just remember that was as a connection. I was like, that is so cool. It's like Skyrim. So I was like reading Skyrim the book.
That is funny.
Speaking of, so at work today, well, we're all over the place, but at work today, I was looking up for a podcast to listen to. I almost listened to that podcast where that guy read Skyrim books, but I was like, I think that'd put me.
I've never actually gone through and read the Skyrim books.
There's so many.
Yeah, and I guess they're actually like pretty well written.
They're pretty well, like they got people that actually write, like actual writers to
Those
write
poor
them.
guys, they wrote books that no one
ever reads.
I know there's cookbooks, and a lot of people are into the like making recipes.
They released an official
Yeah,
Skyrim
I've seen
cookbook.
that.
They look so good. Like the people posted on the Reddit.
I don't know. Some of the stuff I'm like.
Some of them doesn't look good, but if like the people make it right, it looks pretty
Some
good.
of it does look good.
They also have one for Fallout too. They have like a Fallout cookbook, but like Fallout cookbooks is kind of weird because it's all supposed to be like future post-apocalyptic.
So what
food.
is it? Just like packets you throw in the microwave?
No, it's like
I've never played Fallout.
it's like there's like they have like ragstag stew, which is just like a kind of a deer kind of stew, but like stuff like that. And there's like of course they have to make like alterations because in the Skyrim cookbook you can make the skeever tails, right?
Yeah,
but
they don't
like
exist.
skeevers, you're not going to eat a giant rat.
No.
Like, no, they have to make.
I don't know. Maybe some people would.
Well, yeah, but that's how you get COVID-25. You see, when you eat.
Please no.
Yeah, please no. Dude. I know it's bouncing all over the place, and I'm just going back a little bit more, but I'm so ready for it to be done. Like, I was thinking about it. I miss just going. I miss going to our like school sporting events.
Yeah, going to activities.
But going to activities like our first date.
Yeah, we were just hanging
semester.
out with a bunch of people.
Yeah, right. We just hung out and then we had fugitive night that first night. Like that stuff just does like they try, but they can't do it anymore.
Like we had a stargazing activity over Zoom.
Yeah, like of course that's not gonna work. You know, I just and you know I just miss hanging out with groups of people.
Yeah. It's super tough, but I mean, whenever I think about things like that, not being able to hang out with people, how much it stinks, I just think, well, at least I'm not dying, or people I know that are dying.
Yeah,
Like, I've got it pretty easy.
No, definitely. I made a video the first of the year where I was like, yeah, like everyone's had a crappy year, but mine's probably nowhere near what some people have gone through. Like, there's been people who've gotten COVID multiple times since the pandemic has started.
That would really, really stink.
Yeah. And, like, the testing wasn't, like, spit in a cup at that point. Like, every time you got it, you had to go.
One.
Yeah.
Good news is, now they're come out with the vaccines. I think, so I was just at my grandparents' house. They said they're getting the vaccine next week, I think.
Really?
Because, they're pretty old, so they're at high risk.
High risk. Do you know we have a new president now? Speaking of that, like Trump's no longer our president. It's Biden now.
Yeah, the inauguration was this morning, right?
Yeah, of this recording.
One of my professors talked about it in class today. He said, this is kind of strange because it was an English class, but he mentioned that Lady Gaga, Jennifer Lopez, and Garth Brooks were the ones that performed. And then I think there was a poet, and what's her name? It was Amanda something. And a preacher. I don't remember his name. But
a preacher? That's kind of...
Yeah, I can't remember what he talked about. But he said it was all really good. I didn't watch it.
Me neither.
But he did, and he said he liked all of the different things.
That's interesting. Having a preacher come up after Lady Gaga goes up and sings.
Well, let's see. So Lady Gaga, I'm trying to remember what they all sang. So, okay, I know Garth Brooks sang Amazing Grace. Jennifer Lopez, I think, sang a mix of two songs. I think she sang a mix of This Land Is Your Land and America the Beautiful. And Lady Gaga sang The Star Spangled Banner, I think.
Okay, so they weren't singing their own stuff.
No,
okay.
it was all patriotic kind of stuff.
Okay, I should have figured that, but for some reason I was You think Lady Gaga, you think Poker Face. I'm like, why Joe Biden or like the government want Lady Gaga to sing Poker Face?
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyways, well, she didn't, and that's why. Yeah. Crazy stuff. Do you want to do more what ifs?
Yeah, I was thinking of one earlier.
Okay. Oh, go ahead.
I don't even remember what it was though.
Oh, sorry. Okay, this is the one that I thought about at work. Well, all these I thought about work. But I was sitting there, right? And I'll be honest, I was like, man, I have to fart so bad. But, like, I was like, and then our coworker walked in the room. I was like, like, you know when it's almost there and you're clenching and you couldn't let it come out? And so then it was like, what if you just couldn't stop farting bubbles?
Why were you thinking about that?
I don't know. I was thinking of, like, what if, like, could you imagine, bro? You're walking around and you're like,
I don't want to think about that.
Okay, no, and then the next one, so it went from what if you could have stopped farting bubbles to what would you do if you had the ability to see, like, actually see people's futures? Like,
what would you do?
like, would you use it, or would you?
Oh, so you can turn it on and off, kind of thing.
Well, yeah. Say there's just like you grab if you grab someone.
If you touch them.
If you touch someone, you're able to if you want to.
So you got a chance to do it.
Yeah. Like,
would I see people's futures? No.
No.
I mean, I'd like to say that, but I mean, maybe you get curious and you want to know. But I mean,
what if someone? Would you tell someone if they come up and asked you? See? No.
I don't know if I'd tell people that I could. Like,
right?
I might just try and, be normal.
See, okay, not totally my idea. It kind of came from, I've been watching Smallville.
Yeah.
And there was an old lady who, when she was blind, but when, like, she had the power to tell people's future, she touched them, right? But, like, hers, she couldn't turn on and off. But people would go to her, and she would tell them, and she always had no problem with telling the truth of what she saw. But, like, if like maybe to someone I didn't know, it'd be a lot easier to tell them the truth. But, like, someone close to me asked me, like,
yeah, if you see something sucky, you don't want to tell them.
You don't want to tell them. But then, like, what the crappy part about that too is, like, can it be changed, kind of thing? Like, or would you make it worse? Like, there's so much with that.
It's a good thing it's not real because we don't know.
No, we don't know.
It's
right?
It's hard to even comprehend that.
I know. I don't think. That was another what if too. Is like, what if you just woke up and you just had some kind of superpower when you woke up? Would you be secretive with it, or would you?
Depends what it was, probably.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to think if there's a power that I would openly. Yeah, if it was like a power to heal people that I touched, actually, I don't know if I'd be open with it, because then people would just be like, work at this hospital for the rest of your life.
See, that's the thing about it is, you see it on the screen or whatever, in the comic books and games or whatever, and it doesn't really show what would happen. Like, in all honesty, I think, honestly, it could exist. We just want to know. Because I bet you 100% the government would be all over that shiz. Like, world government would be, they catch wind of a kid who can throw a car, like, they're going to hunt that kid down and experiment on him and find out why that kid can throw a car.
I think you've been watching Smallville.
I know, but, like, you know what I mean, right?
I don't know. I don't know enough about the government.
I guess that's true.
And I mean, that's just such a foreign idea that it's just completely unrealistic.
I guess so. Personally, if I woke up and had powers, I'd be 100% secretive about it. Just because I don't want no, like, say, like, it got to the point where I could hurt, like, not hurt someone, save someone because they're hurt, I would probably use it and then have to go after that. Like, you be stuck with the consequences. But, like, I wouldn't probably go, like, say I got the power to fly, I don't think I was going to start flying to class every day because, like,
I Yeah, I wouldn't either, but I definitely would go for a joyride every once in a while.
That's me too. I would definitely. That's the other thing too. I couldn't. There's no way I would be able to help myself. I would have to.
Yeah, you got to do it.
I'd have to use it somehow.
It's like
at one point.
It's like if you're an athlete and you've got this, you're super fast or you can jump really high. You're gonna do it just because you can. And
yeah.
It's cool.
Dude, if I could backflip, man. Dude, I would backflip all the time. That's not even a superpower, but I would backflip all the time.
I don't know about that. I think you do it a couple times and then you get sick of it.
I guess that's true.
Plus, it might make you dizzy. I don't know. I'm definitely not flexible enough to do a backflip.
Well,
Is that what it takes? Is flexibility?
I don't think it's necessarily flexibility. I mean, there's probably some to it. I think 100. It's just a lot of. I want to say it takes a lot of core because when you do a front flip, it takes some core because you gotta pull yourself in because like you don't necessarily need to jump high. Like jumping high helps, I think, but like people can do standing front flips. All you have to do is tuck and swing fast enough, and I think it takes a lot of core and maybe some upper body. In all honesty,
I have no idea.
And coordination.
So I'll take your word for it.
I'm gonna guess so. I might be completely wrong. I might just be pulling information out my butt. But I think that makes sense to me.
Well.
Another, what if you just woke up one morning and...
I did that yesterday,
Yeah,
bro.
okay. You woke up one morning and you're just famous. Like you walk out, it's like you're in a fancy house.
For what?
Whatever. Just famous. Like, you just, one day you wait, like, say you go to bed tonight and you wake up tomorrow and you're in a mansion with a big bed and a bunch of, like, you're just famous. You're rich.
So, it depends why I'm famous.
Because, like, if you were, like, famous for, would it be different, like, you're saying if you were famous for, like, being an athlete and if you were famous for...
For being a pop star or, like, a doctor or an author or, like...
I guess that
depends.
does true.
Or maybe, like, the president. It changes depending on what my role is.
I guess that's true.
Wait, what was your question? I don't think I let you
what
finish.
would you do if you was like?
How would I act differently?
Yeah. Because I would wake up and I'd be confused as heck.
Well, duh. Anybody would be. I still don't even know why I'm famous.
So what if you can make up why you're famous?
Okay, say I was an athlete. Let's take this hypothetical situation. I was famous, I was an athlete, and I lived in a mansion. What would I start doing?
Mm-hmm.
Whew, that is so hard. I think famous people is really hard because people won't leave you alone, right?
Mm-hmm.
But part of, like, they've kind of grown into their fame a little bit, so they've kind of learned how to deal with it.
But you'd be thrown into it.
And yeah, you can kind of talk to other people who maybe had similar experience with dealing with being famous. But yeah, if you're just thrown right into it, I think it'd be a huge shock to your system.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like being born into fame, but worse because you already knew what it was like to not be famous. And so you kind of expect your own privacy and stuff. And then all of a sudden it's just taken from you.
And that's exactly what happens to people whose like videos go viral.
Yeah. I sure hope I never go on any viral video.
That was another question. It's like, what if we wake up the day after this recording uploads
and this recording goes
viral? It has like 1 million views.
Well, they only know our voices.
That's true. They don't really. Well, yeah, I guess that's true.
We'll just
never record.
We'll just.
I would record again. Heck yeah, I'd record again if this got 1 million views.
We'll just start talking like this. Nobody will be able to recognize us.
That donut, that smaller donut.
That donut. Inside, that was another donut.
That's part of that movie. I'm not even going to say what we're talking about. People who know. No, I think it's crazy though, just because like we uploaded our Undertale video, right? And I went to bed. I woke up the next morning, and I honestly was expecting 5 views, in all honesty. But for some reason, our first one got that like 380 views. Like I was excited, but I was also like, how did this happen?
Don't know. YouTube works in mysterious ways.
Honestly, I think the title was an accidental genius move on my part.
What'd you say?
I put Undertale, what is this? Right? So people like probably like, what is Undertale? And then other people were like, people who know what Undertale is probably searching that up and trying to help people into because the game's massive and people have a fan base. So I think I just I literally did not think, because I don't think we even say that once. But I just
Wait, why did you title it that?
Because like you were kind of confused about it at first,
Oh.
so that's why I put it like that, right? And I think it just was an accidental, because the second video is up and live now at the time of this recording, and I think it has 5 views. So like
for the next one, experiment. Type what is this 2?
See if the video blows up again. I might do that.
That'd be an interesting test.
We should
to see how algorithms work.
Right? It's just, in all honesty, it is not hard to get famous on YouTube if you're willing to drop all your standards.
That's true. I see more and more YouTubers just like making clickbait videos.
Mm-hmm. If you just throw amazing, wow, Undertale, best thing ever,
and then in the picture you just put like arrows everywhere, making this
pointing to a butt. Like you're gonna get famous on YouTube. You don't have to make good quality content and get famous is harder than just throwing together some crap that some kids are gonna watch and putting it on YouTube.
It's true. It's kind of sad, but that's just the way YouTube's created. And it didn't used to be that way.
Mm-mm. No, it didn't. In all honesty, doing YouTube's always been a dream of mine, right? As I've gotten older, that I'm going to be honest, that hasn't changed. But if I were to try to do it now, my YouTube would be stream highlights and maybe other things. But I think streaming is probably going to become the new thing, because YouTube's getting big and stuff like that, but most of the YouTubers that you're seeing that are still trying to they still want to make good stuff, not going to the crappy stuff that YouTube's doing, and they plus that YouTube's trying to become kid friendly, which doesn't make sense because their algorithm is not at all kid friendly. Is making it harder for people to have a living on YouTube. People are going streaming all the way because streaming's easier because you don't have to really edit. It's more interactive.
True. And
you sit down, play a game for a couple hours, 3 or 4 hours, or there's streaming on Twitch that's meant for games where you can do art, you can do music, you can do just chatting. They have that as an option, right? And it's interactive. You can still make money probably 10 times easier than you could on YouTube because people just donate, right? Flat out $1. Instead of on YouTube, you'd get a percentage of the ad. Every ad that's played, you get I think 50 cents or something.
Yeah.
But I would love to stream, but it's just not possible when you're at college, really.
That's true. Yeah, you kind of have to drop everything else and just completely be devoted, which is risky because you never know how it's going to turn out.
It's because everybody sees the famous people. Man, that job looks awesome. It looks like it'd be so much fun. It looks like it'd be so easy. But that handful of people make it so much harder to see everyone in the background. The thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people who are also on all those platforms trying to make it work.
Yeah, I think you got, there's a lot more to it than meets the eye.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things that can help you make it. Part of it is equipment. Part of it's just the way you behave.
Mm-hmm.
And part of it's luck.
Oh, big time luck. It's also kind of who you know, because there's big YouTubers or streamers who have a friend that they know from back then or back when or whatever, and then they'll record with them and they blow up. Right?
Yeah, that's true.
That's kind of how you have to get out. I don't know if we're going kind of. Actually, we're not. We got time. You know the YouTuber Toast?
What does he do?
Not Toast. Corpse. I meant Corpse. The guy with the really deep, soothing voice. I'm not doing it right, but you know what I mean, right?
Okay.
Do you know
Deep
corpse?
would have been fine. I don't know why you had to say soothing too.
Okay, no, there's seriously just some like it is. I'll have to show you.
Okay.
But corpse is
He plays Among Us,
Among
right?
Us, right?
Yeah. Okay. I know
Yeah.
him.
So that man could talk me to sleep. Besides the point, he did readings of like creepypastas on his YouTube channel
Ugh.
first, right? And people would animate to him. Okay, that's what he did. And then out of nowhere, he knew a famous YouTuber, got invited to play Among Us, and people heard his cool voice. But he would Among Us is a game you have to play with other people.
Yeah.
These big guys are playing with other big guys. He blew up overnight, right? Like it takes something like that. I mean, like it also helps if you have an amazing voice.
True.
You know, but
you gotta have a good voice, and you gotta be able to last talking for a long
time. I have no problem talking. I don't know if you've noticed that about me. I can talk.
I've noticed.
Man, I think honestly though, this podcast, even though it was all over the place, we didn't stop talking. I mean, mainly I did, but like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's been good.
I think our past couple ones have definitely they had some pauses. Like I had to go through and edit some long pauses out.
That's when we're just staring at each other.
Mm-hmm. Just trying to find. I don't know, man.
I think maybe we're getting more used to this concept.
Yeah.
A little bit more familiar with the idea of a podcast.
Yeah.
I watch a lot of sports,
Mm-hmm.
and then they always have two commentators. Well, most of the time, and I've kind of been wondering, like, what does it take to be a good commentator? And I've noticed a lot. Anytime one finishes their thought or whatever they're saying, the other one instantly takes it up and says whatever they're saying. So that way there's never a pause. So that way you can, like, take your time to breathe or whatever, get a drink, whatever you need to do while the other person's talking. Then as soon as they're done, then you start. And that way you're not talking constantly, and you just kind of build upon each other's thoughts.
Sports is a little bit different too, though, because they kind of interact with each other. Like occasionally, like you'll get them to like.
Yeah, because they also have to pay attention to the game.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
And I think most sports has a guy that's specifically meant to be able to give like a good play-by-play, right?
Yeah, a lot of times they'll have one guy who does most of the commentating, and then the other one kind of just accompanies and.
Mm-hmm. But it's for your. I think you're right. It's mainly for that point, so that guy's not talking nonstop.
Yeah.
And plus, I think two voices are more interesting to listen to than one.
For sure. I think you can go up to 3. After you get 3, though, it's hard to tell who's who.
Mm-hmm. No. Yeah. Definitely. Especially just for like a podcast where you're supposed to be sitting there and just like listening. Like if you can't see us, so it definitely makes it harder.
And it helps if your voices are more distinct. Like if someone's got a really high pitched voice and then someone's got a deep,
mm-hmm.
then it's really easy to tell. Like, okay, these are two separate people.
Yeah. A thought process that I've had that I've wanted to try at some point, maybe in the future, was having cameras for the podcast in the future.
Okay.
And don't know if that's necessarily gonna I don't know how.
Oh, well, then if this does blow up, then they'll know who we are.
That is true.
We won't be able to hide.
No, we'd have to wear wigs every episode, different wigs.
Or face masks. I mean, we do that anyway.
That's true. I was thinking about that actually. It's weird how normal
face masks are.
Face masks feel now. I mean, I still leave the house and forget to grab it from time to time.
Yeah.
It just feels normal now, and it's kind of sad.
It's gonna be weird when you can it's
take
no
them
longer
off.
required. Yeah.
Dude, the world's been. It's not gonna be the same place.
It's so weird meeting people, and then seeing them again when they take their mask off.
Mm-hmm.
What the frick? It's like they're a completely different person.
I know.
Like if they've got a beard.
Yeah.
What?
That's a coworker of.
Completely changes the way you think.
A coworker of ours didn't really realize I have a small beard going on because I have my mask on all the time at work, and I took it off when we were having a pizza meeting, She's like, yeah, I keep forgetting you have a beard. And I was like, yeah, I do. Without it, I have bad baby face.
Well, not with the beard. I've never seen a baby with a beard before.
This is true.
I don't know. Maybe some like Viking babies have beards.
Dude, Viking babies are probably buff and have beards. They probably come out ready to wield an axe.
That would be so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Coming out with an axe?
No, ready to wield one.
Still, even if they had a beard, that would be uncomfortable.
I can't. Oh my god, I don't want to think about that. With that, we're gonna end this here. We're at 42 minutes now. I feel like that was a pretty good one. First,
yeah,
2020.
That was good.
Man, it's gotta find time to edit this now.
Yay.
Yeah, no. Thanks for watching, guys. More podcasts are on the way. More Undertale is on the way. More people, more guests for the podcast, hopefully, on the way. And, yeah, anything else you want to say?
Don't make us famous. We don't want to be.
Well, I kind of want to be.
Alright, make him famous.
Okay.
Forget about me.
See you guys.
Adios.
Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, man.